All right, great. Well, Cosmo, I can't thank you enough for taking time, especially on a Sunday, to help out with this. Um, it's been really amazing for Scott and I to speak with so many different people who have been involved in some way with the Dell Social Innovation Challenge and how it's touched their lives and all the different like amazing things they've gotten out of it. And I think it's probably a testament to how dedicated Susie and the team is that people are willing to kind of hop on the phone over weekends and stuff. So I'm really excited to talk to you and kind of hear about your experience with it. So thank you again for taking the time.
No problem. My pleasure.
So what we'll do is I've got a bunch of questions that I'm going to ask. Some of them are kind of in a flow. I may go off on tangents with you depending on what you say, but the real key here is I'm going to be looking to find the things that really stood out to you about the Dell Social Innovation Challenge, how it had an impact on your life, what was unique about it, how it either inspired or empowered you. We're going to be trying to find those nuggets because what will happen is we're going to put together this video, which will be that calling card so people who are thinking about applying or people who may want to support and come to the event or sponsor the event begin to understand the power of it, and not just from like a stale brochure or some other marketing collateral, but really directly from the words of people who have been touched by the event. Um, so what I'd love actually is if you can just start by saying your name and how you've been involved in the challenge, like whether it be I won X year or whatever it is, and then either what your project is or what your role was.
Sure. 1 second.
Yeah.
So my name is Cosmo Fujiyama, and I currently work on the Dell Social Innovation team as a student liaison.
Cool. And so what do you do as a student liaison?
So a student liaison, my job is to tell as many people around the world about the Dell Social Innovation Challenge and let them know about the opportunity they have as a student, undergrad or graduate, to make a difference and to join the Dell Social Innovation Challenge community. So what I've been doing is I'm on the phone all the time on Skype, talking to students about this opportunity, and then in having ways in which they can get their fellow colleagues engaged in the platform as well. So I'm based in New York City, and I work with students at NYU, where I'm also a student, currently a graduate student at the Policy School. I also work with students from my school, but across the campus, in addition to that, other students around the world.
So why do you do it? I mean, it sounds like something. I mean, what kind of drew you to kind of work with them and kind of speak on their behalf?
Sure. So, I mean, my story is that when I was in undergrad at the College of William and Mary in 2004, I started a nonprofit organization with my brother, and it was about engaging young people in Honduras to make a difference in their communities. And I was working on that nonprofit for over 6 years, some of it when I was an undergrad and also living in Honduras afterwards. But when I think about that experience and how powerful and transformative it was, I mean, it still continues to be an incredible organization that my brother runs. I think about the community I had and the network and the mentorship that made a difference in my life. And when I speak about Dell Challenge to other students, I often tell the story about what it was like to start an entrepreneurial endeavor, but not to have kind of an online community. My community was limited to the people around me directly. But with Dell, what I see is that it's an outlet where students can join and connect with so many people around the world instantaneously. And it's a way in which I think they can accelerate their growth quicker and more effectively so that the change they want to see can be done in a way that, again, builds collaborative teams. And it's, I mean, I think it's amazing. I really do. I think looking back to my experience as an undergrad starting a business and to now see what the world offers and what Dell offers, I can't help but not be excited to tell other people about this because there's funding opportunities, mentorship connections, and other people around the world you can connect with and again, build teams with, which I think is really cool. So I look back at myself when I was young and starting off and not having Dell. I was so excited when Susie and the Dell Social Innovation team asked me to become an advocate for their platform because I know what it takes and I know how hard it is. And I think that these types of competitions and platforms are just one way of engaging students more effectively.
Yeah, that's it's funny. A lot of people have talked about the mentorship and the community and the network that kind of comes from being a part of Dell. I mean, why do you think that stuff is so important? I mean, you talked a little bit about accelerating growth, but like why
Yeah.
is all that stuff so important, and why is it unique to Dell and the Social Innovation Challenge?
Well, I don't know if it's unique to Dell. I think that they do a great job of kind of mentoring a large number of people in a very effective way. But when I think about mentorship and why it's so valuable to young people, is that one, this stuff isn't easy and it's not meant to be. I mean, the complex social issues have existed for so long. It would be, I think, ignorant to the fact of how complex it is if you didn't see you needed to have a team of people that could help. And mentorship is lateral to me. It's not just, people who've done it mentoring younger people or younger people, it's not a hierarchy of age or experience. It's really about sharing ideas so that you can collectively improve the way in which you approach it. And I think one of the things that young people need is confidence. Is the sense that, yes, I can do this, and how can I? Well, there's somebody who went through this that is sharing a story or letting me know about the XYZ challenges they had, and it helps me paint a picture of the possibilities. And I think that's what's so great about mentorship. It's about painting possibility and having a bouncing wall of ideas, or what was that called? A wall to bounce ideas off of.
Yeah.
So that you're able to make a solution that takes into account lots of different variables. And if we were isolated communities without any connected ideas, then maybe we don't need mentorship. But I don't agree in that. I think that all of the ideas we create and the solutions, there's so many new connections. And those connections I have learned from myself building a nonprofit. A lot of the ones that you don't even see or ever think could be a valuable connection end up inspiring an idea or that you may have never thought about. And what Dell does well, to my knowledge, is that there's such a wide network of people that they have built a mentorship pool with. Dell has an incredible team of mentors from all types of disciplines. So even if you're an engineering student in India, your mentorship might, from the Dell platform, expose you to artists, designers, to scientists, and teachers in other ways in other countries that will help your idea in an interdisciplinary approach, which I think mentorship also is really, really, really powerful at doing.
Yeah. What was like if you think about the Dell Social Innovation Challenge, like what's like the most important thing that people get from it?
What is the most important thing people get from the Dell Social Innovation Challenge? I think it's a platform to stand up and to put your idea forward. And for many students, I actually think this is their first time putting an idea out there that is not graded, that is not right or wrong. It's actually you saying, I have an idea, I deeply believe in the need to address this issue, and I'm open to ways and new approaches that will help me solve the problem. It doesn't matter, if I win. The point is that we win as an entire international community or as a community here. And I think that there's not enough competitions out there like that have as many people as Dell does, and also ideas that are open source. So it's right out there. You can kind of look around and see who's working on water. What are they doing? What are the challenges in Kenya, in Alaska, in Japan? And how do you see what their solutions are and think about that solution potentially applying to your idea? And I think that that sense of vision that Dell Social Innovation Challenge has is unique to its competition. And I think that's why it's so important, is that, yes, they are providing funding for so many incredible social innovators, but I really think that they're investing in young people saying, I have an idea, I want to solve it, and I'm ready to take that first step. And I think that's a bold step. I'm glad that Dell is there to encourage students to do so.
So you've never applied for the Dell Innovation Challenge, or have you? How did you get roped in?
I applied this year. I went to graduate school. I'm at NYU Graduate School of Public Policy to think about issues in domestic education, so U.S. education reform. So I applied to the Dell Education Challenge this past October.
Okay. But were you in the competition, or what? Because because you definitely seem very passionate about it and you know a lot about it. Like, how far did you go in the competition?
Well, I applied. The deadline was October 24th of this past month,
Uh-huh.
and they're in the judging phases now.
Got
So
it.
find out what happens in November.
So did they just like see your video and they were just like, "Oh my God, you're amazing. We have to like use you as a liaison," or how did it kind of work?
No, I met the Dell team last year through another organization I work for, and they are strong partners in this work. So I had known the Dell team and really volunteered to be a kind of an ambassador, and then was worked with the Dell team on some other projects. But this year, as a second year graduate student, I wanted to apply because again, I'm at graduate school not to get just the degree. I'm at graduate school so I can learn how to make a difference.
Mm.
And I think I can do that in the classroom with the courses I'm taking, but also these external opportunities like Dell. So I wanted to push myself and put myself out there. And if I'm encouraging other students to do it, I can walk the walk and talk the talk and put my idea out there as well.
That's great. What what is it about? Like, have you applied for other challenges and other like like I know someone else won like the Duke Challenge, and I know there's a lot out there for students, but like, are there other ones that you've applied to?
When I started my nonprofit back in the late 2000s, yes, I did apply to a lot of competitions, and there were voting competitions, online giving competitions, kind of Kickstarter type
Yeah.
models. But recently, I have not applied.
Why?
Actually, to be honest, I feel that almost kind of like there's so many things happening. Which one and when, and it almost kind of like it all blew up. And the Dell one was like the most concise. The entry date was perfect in terms of the alignment of the idea I've been working on for the past couple of months. So that worked out, and it was easy, to kind of join and plan ahead to apply for this particular one. But the other ones, I almost feel like there's so many. NYU has some, and there's a lot. But I wanted to just start with one for now.
Yeah. So how did you come up with the idea for your nonprofit? Or is the nonprofit what you entered into the Dell Challenge, or is it something else?
No, it's not.
Oh, so what's the idea that you entered into the Dell Challenge?
So my idea, the company is called Generate, and it's a multimedia education company. And what we do is that we identify change makers, young change makers, that are making a difference in their communities, and capture those stories in order to create curriculum for schools, for high schools, to be able to show examples of how young people are stepping up to a local issue and how they're solving it. So it becomes kind of an online training module focused on the incredible high quality stories of young people and what they're doing. I mean, the world is full of the tragedies and the difficulties and the issues that young people are facing, and it's not. We need to overflow. We need to overflow the media with positive stories, but not just positivity for optimism's sake. Positivity in that this is a can-do, how-to approach for young people to get involved.
Mm. How did you come up with the idea?
How did I come up with it? Gosh, I feel like it's such a combination of many notebooks where I've been taking down a lot of notes on what I've been thinking about, what inspired me when I was younger to start making a difference in my community. And I think I'm very motivated by a scalable model. Like, how can I not only make a difference in my own community, but have something that's an online, offline component where young people can easily access, feel inspired, and ensure that they can get engaged in their own communities in a way. So I'm thinking about a larger scale impact model. And I'm at graduate school kind of looking at this. I have colleagues that I'm interviewing and talking to all the time, taking classes in social entrepreneurship, and I have a lot of folks I've been thinking about this idea with. And I just felt really ready to put it out there. It's good to stay in my head to some extent, but I've been thinking about this idea for the past, directly, indirectly, for the past like 2 years.
Wow.
So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm really glad you took the steps to put it out there. But so it's funny because side note, we're we're working with this group called the Future Project. Have you heard of them before?
Yeah, I'm a future project coach.
Shut up! Are you serious?
Yes, I work in the Chelsea Lab School.
So you know
Angie
Tim Shriver
Santino is
together?
one of my best friends, and Kanya, John Michael, all the crew. I love them.
It's like while you're sitting here talking, like I'm like, oh, we're doing this thing on Wednesday night at Google where we're doing a workshop, bringing together all these different people, and we're going to be like working on what the dream directors are going to be doing in schools. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, oh my god, I've got to invite Cosmo.
No, I'll be going. Alex Aitken's my friend. I'm going. I'll see you there.
Oh, amazing. Okay. This is such a fucking small world. That's ridiculous. Okay.
And even I'll be out from Denver too. I'll be in New York City, so I'll see you there too.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. I thought it was Thursday on the 8th, is it? Or maybe it's another day.
So Thursday night is a Google event. Wednesday night, we're actually doing a workshop where we're bringing together a bunch of people and literally specifically focusing on the dream director role. It's a separate thing from the Google dinner, which is Thursday night. This is actually Wednesday.
Thursday night. I'm not at the Wednesday one.
Okay. We kind of put it together last minute, but it's something that I'll ask Al after. It sounds like something you should, if you might be cool to have you come over to. But it's funny. Like I was one of those kids that growing up, I used to fall asleep in class like all the time. I was never engaged. I was never like really curious about because it was just like teaching to the middle. So for me, it's like I love what you're talking about, and I love the whole notion of like rethinking education or the approach to it, and focusing on highlighting those stories. What about you? I mean, what was your I mean, it must have been something didn't work that you're now been like thinking about this for years or playing with it. Like what is there like a moment where you're just like, oh my god, school doesn't work, this is retarded? Do you have like a moment where you snapped and you're just like, this is it, I can't deal, and you started kind of shifting towards let's create a solution, or what happened?
That's a good question. I mean, I think when I think back to a lot of like what is my journey and where do I find moments of inspiration, or this is messed up, I do something about it. I actually feel in elementary school, my family immigrated from Japan, and I was born in the U.S., but I remember very much distinctly, like, not speaking English and being in ESL and just not getting it. Like, I felt very, very shy, didn't speak out. People are like, what? You didn't talk when you were young? Totally. And I felt school for me was very intimidating. It wasn't a place where I felt comfortable. But when I look back now and I think all the people in my life in my elementary school, middle school years, and high school years, I had so many champions that advocated for me and my growth as a young learner, and I felt very blessed. But I also knew my parents really, really wanted me to have a powerful education, and that they were very involved in all my siblings and my experiences in elementary school and middle school and high school. So I feel like I had this experience where school could have been very difficult, but in a way I was situated where parents really cared and teachers cared, and I feel like I had an incredible experience in public school, and I feel that every child needs to have champions. Their educational career that helps them identify what is their voice, And for me, theater, music, violin, all those have been parts of my voice, in which I was able to tinker and find ways in which I can express what I care about. And I think through those incredible experiences, I just feel like a more whole person that is able to communicate effectively, which was my first challenge, right? Talking in English was my communication barrier. That has enabled me now to be at a place. I went to undergrad and also had a community of a very supportive community where I felt change is possible. But we can't just talk about it. We have to really go out there and do something about it. So I started to do service learning trips around the world, and then built a nonprofit that was about engaging with one community and having a responsible, self-sustained service learning model in Honduras. And that was a reaction saying we have all these incredible engagement opportunities. People can travel and go and volunteer, but what happens after the ninth day when you come back from it? Is that it? Is there anything else we can do? So my brother and I started a nonprofit with the community we were working with, and continued to go back throughout our undergrad years, and then built a nonprofit that helps engage young people in their community development initiatives. So that's where I was from 2007 to 2010. So I learned what it takes to start up an initiative, and we were able to raise money and develop a model that works. And I saw student transformation. College students being transformed every day on these trips, and they would feel so inspired. But when I kind of took a step back and I thought about our model, I started to ask, how can we do this earlier? How can we engage high school students right in their own high schools in the U.S. to care about their communities or feel checked in?
Yeah.
And I think that's where my aha moment came and said, I want to come back to the U.S. and I want to work on issues right here in the U.S. and came to graduate school and have lots of different experiences in which I have, kind of stepped back to learn about what are the challenges. And I like my role now with Dell because it's all about giving voice to change. Whether it's about giving voice and inspiring young people to get involved in the portal, or it's about giving voice to the incredible ideas. And with my company, I want to capture those stories in a high quality way and to be able to connect those stories to high school students around the country so they really see what's possible, but they also create those possibilities alongside with us.
If you think about a world where like all these students have a voice in the way that you're defining, right? And it's interesting because one of the my background was in Hollywood. Actually, I began managing writers and producers in film and TV, and it eventually evolved to be more about creative management and creative like expression as opposed to just film and TV or media. Began working with architects, chefs, athletes, and my whole career, what I began to realize the through line has been is really focusing on helping people articulate that voice and stand tall, like and really find a way to help it flourish and reach the audience it needs to, whether it be as you're starting a restaurant or a TV show or whatever it is. So a lot of what you're talking about resonates with me, and what I'm curious about is like when you think about what could become possible. Like let's say you win the grand prize of the Dell Social Innovation Day. Like, what would you do with that grand prize money?
Invest in a team right away. You need great talent to make this possible, and I think Future Project did a really good job recognizing that and building a team. So I actually think my model is one in which it's not creating another nonprofit. It's really about identifying approaches to be able to do this at scale. So there's lots of organizations working here and there. How can this company bring it all together and demonstrate in a prototype pretty quickly that this sticks? There's people that are willing to pay to finance it, but there's also a reaction that we can measure of saying this type of quality video or this type of quality storytelling is changing the way people choose to act in certain ways and stand up to express themselves. So I would pay for kind of basically in the model with the Dell funding is I think appropriate for paying for prototyping and seeing if this will work in order to pull in the investors that you need to now take it at scale.
And let's say you get your team, and let's say you're able to scale this, and you have a world of students, or the next generation of creative problem solvers, whatever you want to call them. Let's say we have this world where you're 100% successful. What becomes possible?
I mean, the New York Times run and led by young people, all led by high school students, but we would call it the High School Times. It would be something about collect incredible stories, and I mean, there'd be a whole section on failure. Failure would be something that we highlight, and then not just failure, here's what I learned, but going even deeper into, what does this illuminate about what's not working on a systems level, and starting to introduce young people to that type of a thought process as well. But I love what you're saying. Like, I think we would have a way in which hip hop artists could join in the platform and really talk in a way that young people resonate with. So there'd be something about creative expression in new ways and incorporating ways in popular culture so that high school students feel excited about what they're out there to share, and that sharing in itself is just as important as perhaps the solutions that they're providing. But the big picture that I want to see change, and this is why I love the Future Project and how big they talk, is that, Fridays are committed to Tri-Days. And Tri-Days mean we're thinking about how young people, particularly in high schools, are using that time to try an apprenticeship in something, to try out a new hat that they never wore in terms of maybe a career path, or to try something they've never done in order to think about maybe the skills that resonate with them.
Well, but like so let's again like so
opportunities for creativity and innovation to be taught and appreciated, and that universities and colleges and companies.
Oh, I lost her.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought I was losing her too.
Yeah, okay. Well, let me call her back here.
How are we doing? Are we
Oh,
getting?
oh no, she's here. Oh,
Can you guys see me?
um, not quite yet. I can hear you though. I think we're about ready to wrap this thing up anyways, though, but let's get her back on here. Should I? Can you hear me, Rich?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll just. Oh, there we go. I see everybody now. I, yeah.
So
Are you good, Rich? Your connection?
What's that?
You can hear everything.
Yeah, I can hear everything.
I'm serious.
Cosmo was cutting out for a minute, but I think she's
I
back
think
now,
I
right?
think we're all.
I'm back
Yeah.
and I can see and hear everybody.
I think we're all good.
So yeah, I mean, I think that to wrap up what I was saying is really having this notion where you can see the flow, right? Where universities, colleges, companies see innovation and creativity as an important skill set that young people should be rewarded for, and they see that as an incentive. You know, NYU, for example, is out there saying we want change makers to come to our campus, and we're going to judge your application not just on your SAT score and your grades, but actually what you're doing with your time and how you're going out there and making a difference and looking at change making skills as a valuable asset. And I think the more that we can get the flow um, changed in which people recognize the value and power of a creative voice and a more innovative approach, America will be at a better place and quickly if we invest in the right ways.
It's funny. So you talk about this creative voice, the valuing innovation. Like, imagine every school is like catering to change makers. Like, what you mentioned America. Like, what becomes possible for America, the world, if that's there. And it's um, let me tell me if this makes any sense. But like, what I'm hearing is the stuff that you want to fix and to change. But then what I'm curious is like, what becomes possible. Like, it's. I was just sitting down with. Have you heard of A Human Right? The group, and their focus is internet access as a human right. Have you heard of them?
Mm-mm.
So it's interesting because like they've been stuck as a brand and as an organization talking about what they want to fix, and then they've begun shifting into more of a conversation around what becomes possible, like a world that operates, in everyone's best interest, a world where if you have equal opportunity, you begin to have like cultures flourish, right? Or communities flourish. Like rather than looking at developing countries as countries to be fixed or to be made like looking at internet access as an empowering tool for vibrant cultures and different parts of the world to have their voices heard, so you have a much more rich tapestry in terms of what you're building. It's like I'm just curious in terms of like having all these kids and their voices rise up, or having that youth, that energy. What happens and what becomes possible to you?
One tangible outcome that I'm really liking is this notion that young people can apprentice earlier and with multiple apprenticeships so that they can get involved and think about, well, one, there's like this checked outness, right? Because they don't know what they want to do. But what if there's a way that they can see themselves in another way because they hear the stories of change, or they hear how other young people or old people or babies are really, making a positive transformation. And if they can do that, they can think about, I want to try that, but be able to instantly connect to an opportunity in order to make that more real and tangible. Even if you're in a rural area, you can figure out a way through internet or through other means, envisioning a journey that gets you to be more successful earlier. Success meaning that you're doing something you love and you care about and that you're able to learn. So one thing is, thinking about how young people can.
Ooh, losing her.
It leads to job training in industries where maybe we need that in America, or in industries where people might not even know about that industry existing. And there's lots of organizations, nonprofits that are out there, and probably for-profit companies that invest in kind of early education, apprenticeship, and I think that that's really important.
Yeah. So if you could only like, right, if you could only, when you think about the Dell Social Innovation Challenge,
Mm-hmm.
what are the words that come to mind? Like, how would you describe it? If you could just give like single words, what would pop? What pops in your head?
International, global. Um, I think accessible. hmm I think transparent. Um, I think multidisciplinary, and what else? I think kind of like fast changing. There's something about it that I feel is very like very forward moving, fast. It's almost kind of like maybe I feel like that because of New York. I don't know if I'm like talking about New York as hell. Um, but yeah, I think those are the ones that come to mind.
Okay. Hey Scott, how are you feeling? Did you catch a lot of stuff that you think works and that you're able to use, or should we keep going a little bit?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think we have more than enough. Cosmo, you've done a really good job kind of explaining things and almost giving me kind of sound bites for sure for some of this. So, I mean, Rich, if you have anything else, that's cool too. But I mean, as far as I see, that's about a half hour of good content. So
Okay.
that's plenty in my mind.
Cool. That's great. I just
Yeah.
want to make sure you got what you needed.
Yeah, no, I think I did. You know, I don't know how long we're making these in the first place, but I think they're probably going to cut down to probably 10 minutes each or something like that. So we've got a lot here to
What the
work with.
the individual interview videos?
Yeah, maybe even less than that too. So
I think they're going to be, yeah. I mean,
like
from
five
what
minute
Christian
or
was saying, Christian even envisioned them being like 30 seconds to a minute.
yeah. So we've got an insane amount of good stuff that you just said there, and for the a video that I'm working on actually today too. That was perfect because I was like struggling to find something, and I'm glad that we just did this. So.
Quick question: how do you guys know the future project?
Future projects. So I met Melina at the Peace Conference, and
Oh,
then I met Alex through Amanda Slavin, who I met through Summit Series, and like all the just atoms just started colliding, basically.
I love it. Yeah, Amanda and I are good friends. And do you know Cassidy Brown? She was at the Beast filming. Cassidy's one of my
I
best
haven't met Cassidy yet, but she's roommates with Alex, right?
Yeah. Cassidy's one of my best friends. Super great. She was actually the way I got connected is that she came to Honduras to film my brother for Journey of Action, and that's how my brother connected me to Cassidy. She just
Whoa, is Journey of Action yours?
no, it's Cassidy's organization. But
Okay, right. And then Journey of Action was filming you guys.
Sure, yes,
Okay,
exactly.
got it.
But great. Well,
Yeah.
again, you guys, and I know that whatever work you put out will be great. And you know, my personal goal is to help let young people know about this. I just think that one, they need to know about it, but they also need to know that it's accessible. It's easy. You put yourself out there, because if you don't play, you don't win.
Right. Yeah.
Scott, did you catch that last bit?
I did.
So
Yeah.
what we're actually going to end with, Cosmo, is I'd love one of the things that Kristen told us is, there are kind of two types of potential applicants. There are the students who like know about Dell and are applying to other competitions, and they've got their plan, and they really want to go change the world, and they're ready to go. And the other kind of person is the one that maybe has an idea but doesn't necessarily think that they belong or they're good enough to go do a challenge or a competition or all the rest of it. So I'm just kind of curious, like, if you could speak directly to those people, and like, what would you say? Like, what would you tell them to apply? Like, why should they do it? Like, why is this so important?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, take the pressure off, one, right? That this is not a test. You're not getting graded for it. But by you trying to articulate an idea and an approach, you're already moving in the right direction. But if you don't take a shot, you can't score. You can't make change happen if you don't face your own fear that you might fail. Because, honey, you are going to fail, probably, along the way, and multiple times. But the biggest failure is for us to hold back because of our own fears and not take that step. What Dell does and why I put my idea out there, frankly, is that it's more like an abstract in my mind. it's an idea that I know I care deeply about, but I'm looking for people to help. I'm looking for ways in which I can improve my idea and have conversations like this. And it almost becomes a great way to share your idea in a really comprehensive and cohesive way. So you can start to build more partners and to find other people to get involved. So I look at it that way, one, as an abstract, a beginning, shaping model that is going to change. And again, you're not getting graded for it, except for your your own commitment, I suppose, to do this. But three, I look at as a tool to connect with other people around the world, and figuring out a way to make those connections add up into a better model. Because that's what we're all here for, right? We're all here to actually better our ideas, to get a better sense of what is the approach and how do we get there. And I think looking at it that way, is a healthy way and also realistic, and certainly what I'm doing with my idea.
Very cool.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was
That was
good.
great.
That like kind of pep talked me in my own life too. I was like, yeah, you're right. You do fail sometimes, and sometimes you gotta pick yourself up again.
Yeah, we gotta talk about that, Scott. You gotta stop failing so much.
Oh, you know,
Ooh.
Yeah, yeah. No, I hope that helps. That I don't know. Do you think this generation is just like, I don't know. It's like they're like waiting for the T's to be crossed and the I's to be dotted, and that if it's not perfect, somebody on the other end is judging you. But I don't really see that with Dell. I don't think anyone. I mean, yes, I guess there's judges. So maybe we have to change the language a little bit next year. But I see it as an entrance into a community that deeply cares, and it's a very highly segmented, kind of